The difference between narration and dialogue. Two very important aspects of your story are the narration and the dialogue. And I find that new writers tend to misuse them by usually using one in place of the other. I cannot express enough how wrong this is. As I've stated in other videos, narration has a very peculiar function in your story, as does the dialogue. And as much as you may be tempted to use one in place of the other, believe me when I tell you, the two are not interchangeable. Time for another of my little tales.
Why did you let him kill me?
A young woman by the name of Simone, who was married to a much older man named Edgar, found out from their maid Eliane, who had overheard his phone conversation and quickly reported back that he had hired a hitman. Simone knew that Edgar hadn't been too happy with her of late, especially since she was certain that he found out that she was having an affair with Edgar's driver, Alejandro. Not to be outdone, Simone decided to hire a hitman of her own to kill her husband first, beating him at his own game. But she soon discovered that hitmen cost a great deal of money, but the upside was that due to Edgar's failing health, he had given her control of the finances. With that control, she had over the years been dipping into those finances to sustain the extravagant lifestyle she had become accustomed to. Her tropical getaways, her designer outfits, and her weekly shopping sprees. Now, she would need to spend a great deal of that money on a hitman. Her hope was that once the hitman had killed Edgar, she could move Alejandro into the main house and live a carefree life with him. On the night the hitman was to kill Edgar, she had planned to arrive home to find him dead on the bedroom floor, but instead, she found him sitting up, waiting for her with a slight smirk on his face. Today, I'll talk about the difference between narration and dialogue, and then I'll tell you why the hitman hadn't killed Edgar. To begin with, it's important to keep in mind that narration is the telling of a story that's conveyed in such a way that it acts as a representative of an event or a series of events. In other words, it's the describing of an incident or an occurrence essential to a story. For example, in the novel To Kill a Mockingbird, the narrator is Scout Finch, telling the story of what took place when she was a little girl. This narration was told in the first-person viewpoint. If you have been following along with my videos, you'll remember that I covered point-of-view narration in earlier videos. But for this video, it's important to understand how narration differs from dialogue. Scout Finch, who is also the protagonist in the story, is narrating it by recounting the events that took place years earlier when she was between the ages of 6 and 8 years of age. Dialogue, however, is easily defined as a conversation delivered by one or more people during a scene in a story. So, although Scout Finch is reliving her past through the telling of that time of her life through narration, during that time, whenever she spoke to or with herself or others, she was involved in a dialogue. When you compare the two, dialogue doesn't seem anywhere near as important as narration, but don't let my first depiction of it leave you believing it's inferior. On the contrary, depending on the type of novel you are writing, if a character has something to say, the best way for that character to say it is with dialogue. The dialogue has a very distinctive function. It serves to provide a great deal of information, not the least of which is to allow the reader a little insight into the personality of the character speaking. Let's use one of my past examples about the college girl and her sister running from the captors. First, I'll go through the scene with narration only. The two girls ran as fast as they could down the darkening street. The sun was about to set, making it difficult for them to see far ahead. It was when Jolene noticed the woods up ahead that she knew it would be the perfect place to hide her little sister. The men chasing them were close behind, but the growing darkness allowed the girls the opportunity to run into the woods, unseen. It wouldn't take them long to realize the sisters were hiding there and eventually find them, so Jolene had to make a decision. After leaving her sister alone in a secluded area of the woods, she ran toward a house at the end of the street, and she made sure the men chasing her saw her run there. In this example, we have found out a few things. We know that two sisters are being chased by some men, and one sister, after leaving the other in the woods, is leading the men to a house at the end of the street. But there's so much more missing. We don't know anything about the sisters. We don't know anything about their personalities or any qualities about them. We know what they're doing, but not who they are while they're doing it. That's where dialogue comes in. With the right dialogue, your reader receives the necessary insight into the characters they are following. Here's the example, but with some dialogue added in. The two girls ran as fast as they could down the darkening street. The sun was about to set, making it difficult for them to see far ahead. "Jolene," said Lydia, "I don't think I can run any further. My ankle still hurts from that fall I took." "You have to," replied Jolene. "Those men are right behind us, and if they catch us—" "Why are they after us?" asked Lydia. "What have we done wrong?" "We did nothing wrong," answered Jolene. "It's because we saw something we shouldn't have seen." It was then Jolene noticed a large wooded area ahead. She knew it would be the perfect place to hide her little sister. The men chasing them were close behind, but the growing darkness allowed the girls the opportunity to run into the woods unseen. "We can't outrun these men," said Jolene. "You're going to have to hide in here, in these woods, while I try to lure them away." "But I want to stay with you," said Lydia. "Mama said to stick together." "Mama also said to keep you safe." "You already said you can't run no more." "What about you?" asked Lydia. "Who's going to keep you safe?" "Not important. You're my responsibility now, and I gotta do what's best for you. Now, you wait here until I can come back for you." It wouldn't take them long to realize the sisters were hiding in the woods and eventually find them, so Jolene had to make a decision. After leaving her sister alone in the woods, she ran toward a house at the end of the street. And she made sure the men chasing her saw her run there. With the right amount of dialogue, we get a little insight into the sisters. We know why the men are after them, but more importantly, we know what they mean to each other. To provide your reader with a good storyline, narration and dialogue working together will provide that for you. Now, where some writers believe they can replace one for the other, they may feel that by removing the narration and just loading up on the dialogue, the scene can accomplish the same effect. Wrong. Dialogue is there to add to a scene. It's not intended to become the scene. Sure, the sisters could explain every imaginable detail about that scene in their conversation, but all you would have is a story of dialogue. Without narration, the scene would sound like this. "We're running as fast as we can down this darkening street," said Jolene. "The sun is about to set," added Lydia, "making it difficult for us to see ahead." "Jolene," said Lydia, "I don't think I can run any further. My ankle still hurts from that fall I took." "You have to," replied Jolene. "Those men are right behind us, and if they catch us—" "Why are they after us?" asked Lydia. "What have we done wrong?" "We did nothing wrong," answered Jolene. "It's because we saw something we shouldn't have seen." "I'm noticing a large wooded area ahead," said Jolene, "and I know it would be the perfect place to hide you." "The men chasing us are close behind," added Lydia. "Yes," agreed Jolene, "but this growing darkness will allow us the opportunity to run there unseen." Too much dialogue. This is just a few lines, but imagine an entire novel with just one person talking after another. It would sound more like an instruction manual. Dialogue alone doesn't work in a novel. Keep this in mind. Your reader can't see the story unfolding because this isn't a movie. It's a novel. Your reader relies on narration to convey that which a movie has the ability to display. Another difference between the two and why one cannot replace the other is the fact that when dealing with narration, if utilized properly, although the scene of the sisters running from the men may take just a few moments in real time, narration can slow it down considerably, allowing the reader to get the full impact of what it might be like for them to run for their lives from the men. But this isn't the case when dealing with dialogue. And this is because dialogue operates from a position of real time. It's happening at the same time that it is delivered and continues for as long as the dialogue lasts. In other words, if your entire novel was all dialogue, it would be over in a fraction of the number of pages it would take if it hadn't any narration. A scene with two people lying on the beach watching a sunset might last for several pages of narration as the writer describes the intensity of the colors, of the sun's effect on the surrounding water ahead of them, as well as the mountains off to one side until it finally sets beyond the horizon. At the end of this scene, the woman says to the man, "I love you more than words can say because I can still see that beautiful sunset in your eyes." Or some sort of lovey-dovey crap like that. But my point is, the narration can take pages to set up a particular scene, allowing your reader to imagine what it might be like being there. And the dialogue is then able to expand on that in real time. When writing your novel, think of the narration as the window into the world you are creating, and the dialogue is the window into the lives of your characters. And now, I'll tell you the ending of the story I call Family Discount. It turns out Eliane didn't tell Simone about Edgar's phone conversation because she was loyal to her, and not at all. Eliane just loved to gossip. So when she heard about a hitman, she couldn't wait to tell someone, and since Simone was the only other person in the house, naturally she told her. But Eliane was so eager to gossip, she didn't wait long enough to hear the entire conversation. If she had, she would have realized that Edgar wasn't hiring a hitman to kill his wife. On the contrary, he loved her dearly in spite of the fact she was having an affair. He knew that his life was ending soon, and he wanted to make sure Simone was well taken care of once he was gone. You see, there was a clause in the insurance policy that stated that if he was murdered, his wife would receive double the insurance money. Yes, Edgar had hired the hitman to kill himself. And after finding out from Eliane that Simone had hired a hitman to kill him, Edgar decided he didn't care what happened to her after his death. And since his money was financing the hitman she hired, he simply asked the hitman to kill her the moment she walks into the room. And why would her hitman do what he asked, you might be wondering? Well, that's easy. Simone had made the mistake of accidentally hiring the same hitman that Edgar had already been paying. Thanks for watching, and if you found anything that I said beneficial to you in any way, hit that subscribe button because you never know. My next video might just be helpful too.